Marilyn channeling, January 19th, 2013.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Oh, I just love Elvis. For those of you that are new, that's my favorite singer, and I'm so glad when Marilyn lets people play Elvis music. And tonight's song was really important, so we'll tell you more about that. I see we have a new person today, so why don't we go around the room and introduce ourselves? And Jeannie, we're so glad you're back. Would you like to share everybody well, we said your name, but you can still introduce yourself.
Hi Martha, I'm glad to be here. I'm Jeannie, I'm from Des Moines.
We're so welcome that you're here, and you're a great supporter, and keep coming back, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And who's the next lady?
I'm Wanda.
Wanda, welcome. We're so glad that you came to join us today.
I live in Bellevue.
Well, that's wonderful. You drove quite a ways to get here. Thank you for coming.
And I'm Mac, Martha. You know me.
Oh, I know you, and you're just the best helper in the world, and thank you for all that you do to help make this possible.
I'm pleased to do it, Martha.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry Martha, this is Darcy and I'm having a little choking over here.
Well, Darcy, we're glad you're here, and you're one of our great supporters too, so we really want you to know we love having you come.
Thank you, I love being here.
Well, that's terrific.
And I'm Sue from Monroe.
Sue, we're so glad you came back, and you were here last time, and just keep coming back. We'd love to have you come.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
I'm Herlinda from Lakeland Hills.
Lol, Herlinda, you were here a few months back,
Yes, I was.
and we're so glad to see you again, and thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Paulette from here in Edgewood.
Well, Paulette, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
Well, we're so glad you're here, and we know that you're close by, but you know, those that come long distances or close, it doesn't matter. We just have a great group.
Hi Martha, I'm Arnold. I'm from Burien. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, Arnold, we just really appreciate all you do for us, and Arnold's helping us put together a book of all this channeling, so thank you, Arthur. Well, we put out a message that we were talked to those passed over, and we have a surprise for somebody here today. And if you happen to have someone that you want to contact too, we can try to do that after this surprise one. So we're going to have John come in and just announce what's going to happen and bring in a loved one. So just a minute.
Toodaloo.
Oh, I usually do that at the end of the session, but we can say toodaloo. Yes.
I thought, you said John was coming, and I thought maybe you were leaving us, and I missed your toodle-doo.
Okay. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo, we love you, Martha.
Well, I love you all.
Love you.
I am John the Divine,
Hi, John.
Hello, John.
Good afternoon.
and we have had somebody on the other side really coming in loud and strong, which is an unusual thing because this person recently passed, but she really wants to talk with her brother. So we will have Jean come in.
Thank you, John.
Mac,
Yes.
I wanted you to know what a wonderful brother you've been to me. Now that I'm on the other side, I can better see some of my shortcomings, you might say, or faults that I perpetrated in my family, including you. And I'm having to come to grips with those, and I have come to say that you were very much there for me in so many ways, and I didn't always appreciate it, but I want you to know that when George died, I relied on you heavily. And when your calls came and your visits came, you were emotionally supporting me in ways you never knew, and I just depended upon that for years, and I want you to know how much it meant to me. And I just wanted you to know how much I love you, and that you were such a wonderful brother, and you were there even when you weren't treated as you might have been treated. So I want you to know that I hope all is forgiven, and that you will just take my apologies and just know that through all of this, we've learned our lessons, and I totally am grateful for you that you were in our family.
Jean, there's nothing to forgive. I did all that I felt I could. Sometimes I feel it wasn't enough. It was painful watching you go through the end of your life. And I knew how badly you wanted to be back on the other side with George. And I understand George was the person who took you to the light.
Well, I was so relieved to see him, and I was just surviving, waiting for the time we could come together again. And so it was such a joy to see him, and he's with me and being very patient as I go through this change that I have to adapt into the new dimensions here.
Jean, I want to give you an apology. I did send the pepper nuts. The label came off, and so they did not get delivered. And I feel so sad about that because I know how much you enjoyed them. And I also am sad because I was told eternally that I should turn the package over and write your name directly on the wrapping paper. And I didn't do that. And then the label came off and the package came back because the return address was still there. But I know how much you would have enjoyed them. It would have been the last gift I could have given you.
Well, your thoughts, Mac, are definitely a huge gift. Your love that you sent to me and all the help and support that you were there. And I want you to know that there's no hard feelings in any way, shape, or form because I know your heart was in the right place. I would have enjoyed the pepper nuts because they brought back memories of family get-togethers, especially Christmas. That was a family tradition, and that was such a wonderful thing you did to provide pepper nuts for the family at Christmas time. But don't worry about it. I know that your intentions were absolutely wonderful, and you know those things can happen, and we don't always predict what's going to happen and be prepared for the unpredictable. So I understand, and I want you to know that yes, you just really have been so important in my life in so many ways that I just wanted to, I had to get special help on this side to be able to come through because this isn't typical. They said that people who've passed so shortly have this opportunity, that you go through a lot of training and energy work to be able to do this, but they would provide it this time. And at a later time, we will be able to have a bit longer chat.
Well, I'm so glad to hear from you, Jean. As you're probably aware, they're planning a memorial service just 1 week from today on this side. And I'm thinking about taking those pepper nuts and sharing them with your family.
Well, that would be a most gracious thing to do. And I'm planning to be there too, Max. So
I'm sure you will be.
I'm going to just enjoy the family having a nice get-together and hoping that as they come together and love together, this will be a blending of all the energy, and hopefully the misunderstandings can be leave because of the love will push out all the misunderstandings, and my family can finally come together in more unity and cooperation, even if I'm not there to encourage it, but they can maybe find it from their hearts.
I might share this message we're recording with your family on this side. I'll have to think about it because Frank being in the ministry might not go over too well.
Oh, I would definitely play the side of caution, Mac.
Yes, I'm thinking about it already. I don't think it'd be appropriate.
I'm not sure that the people there are into this kind of communication.
Possibly with Bill.
That would maybe be different. He's more open-minded about church and spiritual things than the rest would be. I definitely would not suggest Peggy or the others either, because they tend to be more traditional from how I raised them.
You gave them a good Episcopalian training.
Yes, I did, didn't I?
Yes.
And they are still all been following it very closely. And, you know, if it works for them and that's where they are right now, God bless them.
God bless you, Jean. Thank you for coming in for the message. I appreciate it so much.
I knew you would, and I just wanted to ease your mind that your trip will go very smoothly. I think you have built up some mountains that you do not need to travel over, so just relax and enjoy the trip.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and remember how much you're loved.
I will, Jean. I love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Say hi to Mom, Dad.
Okay, I will do that. I am John, and I have returned. Is there someone else who would like to connect with somebody on the other side at this time?
I would, John, if I could,
Yes.
I'd like to ask my father if he has any message for me.
All right. And your father's name?
Michael.
Michael. Dear Jeannie, I am so glad you're here this afternoon. I will have very loving messages for you. You were a very special daughter to me. I loved you very much. I would like to say I know that our family environment was not always what you wished for, and as a child that was sometimes very difficult for you. And I know that you endured so many harrowing experiences, but I know that in the long run you're coming through these very well, and you will look at them and see them for what they are, the challenges that were necessary for you to grow spiritually. And as you forgive those in the family that caused some of your difficulties, that you will rise above it and turn it into a very productive way to handle your life in a way that would not recreate what was happening to you. I loved you very much, and I found it very difficult to protect you from some of those things because I was told in spirit that you needed to experience them, and if I ran interference, you wouldn't learn the lessons that were in your script for this lifetime. So I'm very sorry that some of it was so painful.
Thank you, Dad. I knew you were there for me, and I didn't tell you a lot. I guess I was protecting others, but I know you're with me now, and I just always want to thank you for your guidance and your support, and I know you love me and I love you, and I want to apologize for anything that I may have said or done that hurt your feelings. And
No apologies are necessary. So often people say and do things they don't even understand, and that's because we see it from a human point of view and take it on so personally, but it was all meant to be, and when you see a bigger picture, you know and can see what you've learned from it. And that's what my wish for you is, that you will see that our family came together for the very reasons they came together. Those were the necessary situations, and it was difficult, I know, but you were loved, and not only did I love you, but your angels were with you all the time. And as a scared little girl, you didn't always see that love that was around you, but now that you're an adult and you have adult eyes, you can look past the fear and open your eyes into the real world that is love and has always been there. And you are doing that beautifully, so I continue to encourage you to find those blockages that kept you from seeing the reality and the truth beyond the painful experiences, and so they can be obliterated with the light of God.
And I hope that I'm going to be able to do what's best for Mom and best for myself, too.
I think that's very wise. You need to look after yourself. It's time that you take the focus off of those things around you and apply it to yourself for your own nurturing ways, and let things will fall in place when you are in a good place. When you are taking care of yourself, then God can step in and arrange the outcome. So if you let him, if you get out of the way and really let God step in, it will all come together better than you could expect.
Thank you, Dad.
And know that you are loved, and I'm in your heart, and you can talk to me anytime that you feel like you want a daddy or you want someone to talk to, just to share your thoughts.
Do you like where I'm living now, Dad? I thought you would like the water and the mountains and...
You found a most beautiful, wonderfully serene view that is very calming to the spirit and soul. And yes, it is a delightful place.
Thank you, Dad.
You are so loved. Just feel my arms around you as I'm giving you a great big hug.
Thank you, Dad. Love you.
Love you too, and I wish you well in your continued search.
Thank you, Dad. I wish you well, too.
Well, things are going quite well, and you're doing what you need to do, and you're looking at things much more realistically, and that will serve you well.
Thank you, Dad.
My blessings to you.
Thank you, Dad.
I'm here to ask if there is anybody else that would like to speak with someone tonight.
I'd like to speak with my mother, if I may. This is Darcy.
Darcy, all right. And would you remind me of her name? We've spoke with her before.
Well, she goes by the name of Pearl.
That's what came to me just as I asked. Pearl, right, okay. Oh, Darcy, you are just glowing and growing so fast lately. I just love what you're doing lately. You have grown a lot, and I just have not had a chance to talk with you lately, and I'm so glad that you wanted to talk with me. I feel that maybe some of our woundedness has blended into love.
Yes, it has.
Oh, I feel so much better about that.
I was just thinking while we were waiting that the tremendous gift that you and Daddy gave me after your passing, the dancing on the clouds, because I hold that view in my heart so deeply. It was wonderful.
Well, you see, we can all come into harmony when we understand and move beyond the pain of the situations. And so I'm so pleased that that is a wonderful memory for you and a vision that you can hold and have healthy, loving energy around that. So it's very comforting to you, isn't it?
Yes, that was a very, very special gift, especially when I was the only one that was allowed to see it. I did want to ask about John, though. I'm a little concerned, and I've kind of left everything in his ballpark, but I do worry about him sometimes. And is there anything that I can do to help my brother?
Right now, the best thing you could do is send him love. He will feel the energy, and it will go where it's necessary in his life to help heal the things he's working on himself. There's nothing you can actually do to change anything except love heals, and you know love heals.
Yes, I do.
And as you have forgiven many difficulties and you have a better understanding how things came together, and you have done forgiveness work, I know, and so you are working on the right direction, and what's left is just to hold him in your heart and know that he's loved just like you are, and that it was all part of this great play. You remember Shakespeare said, life's a play and we're all characters in the story. I kind of rephrased that, but you understand.
No, yes, I do.
So just know that you all played your part so well, and if we can just love each other now that the play is coming to an end, then we can see each other in our true spiritual form as all God's children.
Well, I've really come to the realization of how well that you and Daddy played your parts. It was not an easy part to play.
You see, Darcy, we loved you so much we agreed reluctantly to play out those roles for you. And it was sometimes quite difficult, as you know.
Yes, I do, and I see the picture much larger now than I did at the time. I was very angry at the time, and I'm still releasing a lot of that anger. But I don't think it's family anger anymore. It's more on other things but I am working at it.
Well, you're loved today, and you are special, Darcy, in my eyes. You are my wonderful daughter who wanted to go through these trials and tribulations to grow spiritually and your energy to grow and expand. And you have done, and you are working on this conscientiously. I want you to know that your angels are even applauding you, and all your guides are supporting you through this last part of your trip and journey. And you're loved more than you could ever understand right now. And you're going to see more and more of that come into your life shortly.
Well, I'm not sure what's coming up next, but I guess I'm here for the duration. They wouldn't send me home, so I just hope and pray that I'm able to accomplish whatever it is the Father wants me to do.
Well, you are doing it, Darcy, and just acknowledge that everything you do is the right and perfect thing for where you are at, and that it was meant to be just exactly the way it is. Sometimes we have to learn to accept it, and we might not like it, but just accept this is the way it is for right now, and this too will change.
Do you like my little cabin?
You have found a delightful place in the woods. It is very lovely to have those old trees around you. Have you felt that energy?
Oh, I love it there. I love it there. And the eagle right outside my door, practically. It's wonderful. And the little squirrels running back and forth. And,
Well, you see, you found that spot because of the energy of the trees are supporting you. And they are there to help you finish your journey. So that was necessary to be in an environment of nature, which you just described, which is also very added by the lake presence there. The water is also very balancing for you.
it is. It's wonderful, and I can see it from inside my porch. I call it my rock and roll castle, because I don't think there's a square place in it, but I love it.
Well, I want you to know, and you're in your castle, that my arms are around you, and you are so loved.
Thank you, Mother.
And we're so glad that we had a chance to talk today.
You send my love to Daddy, too.
I will definitely tell him.
Right. Thank you so much for coming.
You are welcome. Is there anyone else that would request a chance to communicate?
Yes, would you be so kind as to contact my mother?
Yes, sir, Linda. And your mother's name?
Socorro?
Socorro. Oh, she is a beautiful lady. Herlinda, my daughter, I love you so much. You have really proven yourself in so many ways. You have a heart that has turned into glowing love in many ways through your difficulties. I am so proud of you as a very wonderful lady in the Indian culture that we are, that you have shown your true, lovely Indian nature and spirit to those around you. You are becoming quite an emblem to those around you of accomplishment. My dear daughter, I am so proud of you.
Do you have any messages that I could give to my brother Tony, who is still on this side?
Well, Tony is having his difficulties. Would you tell him that even though there were the problems of the ups and downs, that he is totally loved, and that my heart is with him, and that he is going to be able to move through these things with love in his heart and come out on the other side in a way that will be wonderfully a gift to him that he would have not imagined. He has a wonderful gift waiting for him, and not to be impatient, but it is coming, and his efforts are through a loving heart will actually make it happen.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Mom.
You are so welcome and you are so loved, and I'm so pleased that you wanted to talk with me today. Feel my arms around you, that you are totally in a wonderful place today, that your peace is coming in more profoundly than it has in the past. Is that right?
Yes.
And you deserve every bit of it. So thank you for being my daughter. You helped me too, you know. You were part of my journey, and that I had to learn many lessons because of your antics.
Socorro, this is Arnolfo.
Hello, Arnold.
It's wonderful to hear your voice.
You are so loved, Arnold. You are so admired from the people on this side for the work that you do. You have a heart of gold, and you are admired and looked up to as a wonderful example, and just keep up the good work.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much.
We are here to tell you how much you are loved, and just that you are a wonderful person growing in spirit, and it is shining and showing forth.
Thank you so much. It's a joy and honor to talk to you again.
Well,
You in August.
Yes. Give my love to Dad.
I will definitely do that and let him know that you were communicating with us. And remember, we're always in your heart, so you can do this anytime you choose, but we love to come through this way also. So have a happy new year and a very joyous time as things are progressing better in your life, Herlinda.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Socorro.
And I wish you well on your new journey as you move forward in a new vision for you.
Could you see if Catherine Tro is available?
They're telling me that that's not possible at this time, but we could try again.
Thank you.
We are ready to bring in Saint Germaine, and so if you are ready with the camera part, Saint Germaine would like to explain what you are going through from a different point of view than the emotional difficulties you've experienced, so you can understand it from a different point of view and help to release the rest of what resistance is there and needs to be looked at. So I will wait a minute for Saint Germaine to come in.
Thank you, John.
I wish you all a very happy afternoon.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John, so much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Saint Germaine.
Good
afternoon,
afternoon,
Saint
Good afternoon, Saint Germaine.
I am so thrilled to be able to come and talk with you people this afternoon, because everyone in this room is on a wonderful new adventure this coming year and for the next coming years, and to help you maybe understand a few things to help lighten your load as you are now in a new dimension. As you know, when Jesus came in last month and talked about the 12-12-12 energy, that was actually the opening up of I need to find the right words. More energy was coming to Earth than has in the past, and has obliterated the darkness to finally have more light on Earth than we had before. So as you are now going down a lighter path than what you've had in your past, the difficulties will not be as difficult, because the bottom fearful, darker, toxic energy is being dispelled as we talk now, and as we proceed there will be less and less as the light dispels the darkness. The illusions will fade away in the light of God, because there is more light to dispel it at this time and come into the reality and the totality of all love. And what has happened is that as you came to Earth from that perfect, loving, spiritual essence, your God self, and you separated from that higher source, and came into the planet Earth. This has been explained in more detail in other channelings, and I know they're available to you if you choose to go back and find them. But as you came into denser energy, we won't go through the history of all of that today, but we will just explain. As you went into creating new life forms for yourself and rearranged your energy, you see, life is all about vibration and energy shifting. So as you were playing with that energy and vibrational shifting of who you were to experiment and play in your life on planet Earth, and it lowered and lowered into deeper density, gradually the culture in the last thousands of years, literally 30,000 years, got so dense and drastically intense that emotionally you became frozen in your emotions. Your vibrations were basically barely pulsing, and you became very numb because it was not safe to feel any longer. So the energy was actually going slower and slower and slower into lower vibrations, which if you were in a musical setting, you might say the low tones on a bass fiddle or the low tones on a piano. The vibrations were very slow, and you became emotionally unavailable, out of protection. Your energy was so slow and numbed you so well that when other people were hurtful to you, harmful to you, wounded you in various ways, abusive in whatever possible ways happened, you tried to protect yourself. This was the delight of the ego, because the ego could run the show. And in this protectedness, you played the victim part very well, and other people took the part of being the one in charge and controlling, manipulating the population. And over the years of the different cultural values and cultural rules, the rules were very abusive in this situation of where you were to try to protect yourself. In early civilization, there were brutal times and survival times of wondering, would you even live through that particular lifetime very long, because survival was the name of the game. And as you interacted with others and you were protecting yourselves, and the wars that went on for who was going to be the top dog, you might say, or the winner, and suppress the others for their benefit, all those different interactions kept you very much enslaved. And that emotional inaccessibility to your being able to come out and be the real you, your spiritual self, was totally protected in layers, such as walls around you, or places where you emotionally just left your body so you didn't have to feel in your body from the abuse that was happening or the difficulties that were going on. So some of you, you might say, were not, they say nobody's home, the lights are on, but nobody was home. And that's where some of you have been. In fact, everybody has been there at one time or another in a past life. And at this deepest, darkest depth of being frozen emotions, if you think of yourself like water and you were like an ice cube, you felt isolated from others because you were protected in your shell of protection. You felt separated from others. You felt like, because there was not much access to the energy of God circulating through you and supplying the nurturing vitality of His love and energy in your system, you got sick and you were depressed and illness fell upon you. And those are the plagues. Those are the different times when people were so shut down they couldn't feel the love of God. And so therefore there was a lot of illness, plagues, fighting, war, all kinds of disarray in society and social ways of handling your life. And so the last thousands of years you have been on the path of trying to come out of being isolated from others, feeling that you were alone in this world or you didn't belong, or that you would never have somebody in your life close to you, because it wasn't they weren't close to you. You couldn't emotionally be available to know they were close to you. This is a trip where you are only needing to change yourself to what has always been around you, as far as the love of an energy of love that was in you and surrounding you, but you have been closing yourself off from it out of your survival. So as the planet has been having more and more energy directed towards it over the last 20 years, you have started to become emotionally more available. You have started to change your feelings from the fear and the anguish that was perpetrating in your life from whatever aspects, and the many past lives do come together and culminate. The energy stays with you until you address it. So it doesn't matter if it's current or has happened at another time. In linear fashion, we think of it as past lives and experiences that need to be looked at, so that those energies can finally be released into the light of God. And as you're doing and healing those old wounds and becoming thawed out from being an ice cube, you might say, and start to become emotionally accessible to God's love and energy that's always been there, but you shut yourself off from it out of your not knowing how to deal or how to handle things in a different way than to protect yourself. You were very much scared like a little child. Well, you have been emotionally immature many, many thousands of years, and this is the time where civilization is growing into maturity, to say, I do not need to stay in a protected childish type of behavior or emotions or attitudes. I can have better feelings than the depression or the resentments or the regrets or the guilts that were in my life. I can move out of that emotional place into higher vibrations of energy, which will take me closer and closer back to my oneness with God. So you see, the illnesses were drugged for no reason at all. It was just your emotional state that was causing you to have those difficulties. And as you release and replace that energy that's the low energy into high energy, or a high label, which we would call God, love, peace, and grace in your life, then the sun will blot out the darkness as if you walk into a dark room and turned on the light. And gradually that's what you're doing. You are now in fourth dimension, and the light is obliterating the darkness of those different parts of your life. So you now can become, instead of an ice cube and isolated, your relationships are going to start to blossom even more than they have in the past, because you are going to be in the flow of that energy, the loving energy of God's Spirit. You see, when there's a book written, there is a river, and the river is the vibrational energy that flows in and around all of us and creates everything that is. That Spirit has created everything that you see, touch, do, feel, eat, and experience, so that when you are thinking of anything, it is all spiritual. And when that flow goes through it, it can then actually be accessible if you're in the flow. You can feel the Spirit in the rocks. You can feel the Spirit in the trees. You can feel the Spirit of love in your friends and see them in a different way than you did before. Even your enemies, you can see how painfully they were acting out their difficulties and see them through the spirit of love that they truly are, but they were trying to protect themselves. So you see, they don't change. It's your thawing out and becoming more emotionally involved and experiencing that loving energy. They're finally giving yourself permission to expose yourself and become vulnerable. And many people have called this the fourth dimension. It just means this is a higher level of vibration than the third dimension. You are leaving behind the duality of third dimension. And as you proceed down this pathway of fourth dimension towards the fifth, it is a you might say, a transitional dimension as you move into higher and higher consciousness. There is a scale of emotions. It is published in Marilyn's ebook on Amazon.com. The Kindle book is all downloadable. She has charts in there that explain this. One chart is a chart of emotions with the low emotions, the vibrational settings where you would measure the setting of that vibration, and as you go up the emotional scale, out of anger, out of revenge, out of those guilt feelings into higher, feeling comfortable with yourself and at ease with yourself, into higher joy, which is the top of the scale. That you move yourself gradually up through those vibrational levels, and you will feel relief each time you move from a lower vibration to the next higher vibration. There's also a chart in there that explains in a theosophical way the different levels of your moving back to the oneness of God. So you see, you are moving and moving forward, and this is your transitional path in fourth dimension to continue that moving. And now you have more loving support to be able to do that, because the duality is no longer the sustaining force of the culture that we're leaving. You are having a new basis upon which to build. And so that makes it much easier to move forward into the higher levels of feelings. And you will notice that your old depressed feelings, I'm using that because when you have a lack of love in your life, you are not connected to God. It is depressing. It is dark. And as that is being faded away through the light that is more enhancing your life today, you are moving down the path closer and closer into the oneness of God. So as you progress and release all resistance to the perfect love of God, and move closer in that emotional and spiritual energy of light, you will become finding yourself changing in many ways. You are coming into being more outgoing, more being yourself, being able to speak up, take advantage of your talents. Your creativity is going to start blossoming in ways that you have not allowed before. You will find yourself more assertive, more courageous. You find it easier to take risks because the people around you that shamed you are no longer going to have that, and you're not going to have it in your life any longer. Those are being faded away and diminished, and you have the freedom to move into being the person you were meant to be. And you will be practicing this for the next 18 to 20 years. The beautiful part is the sooner you give up the resistance to moving forward on this transitional dimension, the sooner you will reach fifth dimension. It is totally up to you. You do not have to do it overnight, and you don't have to drag your feet, but I suggest that if you consciously stay in meditation as often as you can to help promote and encourage and enhance this new way of life that becomes more familiar to you and more comfortable, and it'll become more what you're used to and what you want to be part of, because the old way is not going to be comfortable anymore. Many people stayed a victim because that was a safe place for them to act out without having to feel vulnerable. As you move closer and closer into the God consciousness, more vulnerability is actually an asset. You will discover you can be the true you in a vulnerable setting because you are filled with God's grace and you are surrounded with God's grace, and nothing can hurt you in the fifth dimension. Nothing can attack you because you're only sending love. There's nothing to attack. So as you proceed in this river of love that you are now moving into and becoming flowing with spirit through you and beyond you, the door is opening in your heart so that Christ consciousness on the inside of you is matching the outside of you. Instead of having a scared little girl or boy inside, you are coming into the maturity of having an adult attitude and maturity of handling your life in ways that you before didn't know how to handle. And you will automatically see, oh, I'm handling this differently than I did before. I just seem to know what to do, and it's going together very rationally, very well. So as you move closer and closer down the path of this transition, you will discover changes in you and growth in your life that you will just automatically start to replace the old difficulties, and you will be very thrilled with your life. You would create your life around you, and what you will be doing is creating heaven on earth. So you see that energy has to thaw out from that ice cube into a flowing, usable, healthy energy that's accessible, and you're part of and others are part of, and you can come together in cooperation and unity. As you move into higher vibrations, that energy then, if you understand the ice cube, the water, and the gas, will become even lighter, like the air that you breathe. You will be moving out of the physical body. The physical body will still be there, but it will not have the density that it has today. You will have more spirit and less physicalness to your experience. And as you become more spiritual in your experience, that will be the fifth dimension of which your energy and spirit merges with the God within. The energy that was there when you started out on this long, long journey. So you will be merging your love with the love of who you are. Only a small part of you came to earth. Your God self stayed up in the part of out of the physical realm and supported your journey on earth, which you probably weren't aware of unless you meditated. And now as you come into higher vibrations and consciousness, that awareness is becoming much more obvious, much more available and usable in your life. You will find yourself being courageous in ways you never were courageous before. You will find yourself acting in loving ways that before you would have maybe had some resistance to, held back because what would happen if I offered this person on, there's so many people now without homes, we call them homeless, and maybe you're helping people today that are homeless in ways you wouldn't have helped them in the past because you have the ability to maybe physically go help them in ways they need or to supply funds for their best utilization for what they are looking for in their needs. There's many ways to help people today, and in that higher consciousness you do not think of your neediness. Your needs will be met, and you will graciously be there for them without any reservations, saying, how can I help you? What can I do to be of service? And as you are of service to those around you, that is your highest calling. That is what is the fifth dimension on earth, will be being of service to those of the planet and those that are helping the planet to improve its problems, that the pollution, the toxicity that's going on through fracking, all the things that are happening. You say, how can I be helpful? Save me from being angry. These things are happened in the past, but what can we do to find a solution? How can we bring health to everybody? How can we bring happiness? And as you find these opportunities come into your life and you are lighter about it, you are happy to be of help. This is your joy, is to be out there being of service. And you see what's happened is your feelings have changed from that frozen, solid protection and being in your own little shell to saying, now I have come out of the shell, I have flowed with the river, and I now can just let my energy be there and be that for others so that their energy can also come up and we can join in our spirit together, and all spirits can merge into the oneness through our service. We will come together in unity. We will come together in unconditional love. We are there for each other, and that we see each other through the eyes and the loving service that is being available for us to be participating in. So you have moved from the ice cube into the flowing river of energy, into the spirit of who you truly are, and back to the oneness of how all the light people in your lights will shine, and all those different lights of who the people on earth are will come back into the one light of God. And that will happen in the fifth dimension. It will take time for all of this to finally come together. But your experiences on earth were not because of the faces that you saw. And I know some of you had some experiences a few minutes ago to talk with loved ones and to heal some past understandings. You see, they played the part. And it wasn't that they themselves were the problem in your life. It was they provided the opportunity for you to change your energy from that ice cube into flowing with forgiveness and into the love of seeing them and helping them on their path as they helped you on yours to be able to move your energy. It's all about energy, and the faces that took on the different particular parts of your particular play was not important. You would have found another person with a different face that you would have had the same experience. So as you see, so often we hold people at bay saying they really, really did me a bad turn in this situation. But it didn't matter if their name was John or Jane or Bill Smith. It would have been a different John or Jane or Bill Smith. The energy that needed to change is really where the focus is. And as you continue your path down the fourth dimension towards the fifth of the oneness and the beauty of that unconditional love of God, you will notice that it wasn't the people that were the problem. It was that you were growing into a maturity that you needed to grow into for your coming into fifth dimension. You are outgrowing your childish ways. You are outgrowing your selfish ways. And this is explained in that ebook that Marilyn wrote. You are coming out of your ego-driven lives into being that God that you truly have always been. So the path is slow sometimes. The path can be arduous. It can also be difficult when you think it should be better than it is. But you can accept it today as I have been changing energy. I have been shifting energy so that I can grow back into the oneness of who I truly am. That I am God. I am the Christed being. I am the God human on earth. And you see that as you come through these levels into a higher consciousness, your maturity will rise above the old ways. And you will see it for what it is, not necessarily what you want to return to, but you are going forward into a better life. You are going forward into gifts that God has for you that are waiting for you. They have only been covered up by your resistance to be open to God's energy as you move up the emotional scale. I suggest that as you find new opportunities to shift your energy in the coming months, years ahead of you, that you will realize it's not the person that's the problem. What can I do that's the most loving for them and the most loving for me? And then you will have your God self inside and outside surrounding you and filling you, and people will see the light of who you truly are. And you will be ready for the fifth dimension. So this is your practice to continue the trip you're on with less dense energy from the third dimension as you move forward and forward into higher and higher vibrations. I know that this has been an interesting talk to some, and for some I'm talking to the choir, but I think sometimes people get very caught up in looking at their lives personally, like they did it to me. And so we'll take the personality out of it and see it from a different point of view, that it was just the necessary experiences. And then more quickly can you say, oh, I understand what's going on. I have to get into forgiveness. I have to get into service. I have to offer some help to this person. These are just opportunities for me today. They don't have to hurt me. I can see them as how they are helping me to grow. And as I grow, I am moving down, or I should say moving up the scale into the higher vibrations I truly want to move in the first place. They are not my hindrances. My hindrances is not taking responsibility when these opportunities come along. So I wish you well in your gifts that will be your rewards as your opportunities are successfully moved into and overcome, as you move down the path of least resistance. It's so often easy to get caught up in people's squabbles. I would suggest that if there's a squabble around, just step back and say, well, when you're through arguing, I'll be glad to come back and visit with you again. You don't have to participate in the old ways anymore. You are learning to grow in a different way above those squabbles. You are not participating in the human aspects, but learning to live a spiritual life which supersedes the human way of seeing things. And as you do that, I wish you God's blessings. I wish His grace be with you, and that your life is coming into the eternal. As you see this happening, you will see your life becoming eternally spirit, that you have always been in spirit. It will last forever. It never was gone. You never did leave God's side. And you are now coming back into that union with God that has been quite a trip for many of you. You have all been at the lowest realms of the vibrational scale, and you have all been at the highest. And as you left the highest and separated yourself from God in this illusion that we are coming out of, and come to a point where you decided to return back to God, you are the people that are very close to doing that. The people in this room, you might say, if the hands of the clock went around from 12, away from 12, down that side of the clock as you move further and further from God, and the clock hand hit 6, then you decided to turn and return to God as the prodigal son did. And as you move back closer and closer to God, I would say the people in this room are probably, the minute hand is probably at 5. You people in this room have worked very hard, if not in this lifetime, other lifetimes, or you wouldn't be here to hear this today. So I want you to acknowledge yourself. I want you to see what fine people you are inside, and to own that, and to say, I have accomplished a great deal. And as I accomplish this, I will be a beacon to others to do the same. And that's the biggest part of the fourth dimension right now, is as you become more and more the light of God, other people will see that light in you, and it will encourage them to move closer and closer into the light and path of God too. You are the way showers. You people in this room are the pathfinders. You might call yourself the pioneers of the way back to God. Many, many people need to have a light right now of what direction and what way to proceed. And you are the examples. Jesus was an example of going back into spirit and rising out of the third dimensional world, being of it but not in it. That's what you will be doing too. When Jesus said, I can do these things and you can do more, this is what he was talking about, is you can raise your spirit above the human dimension, showing others they can do it too. You don't do it for them, you show them that they can handle it, that you will accompany them, assist them, and support them as they also want to be on this path, as they notice your wonderful gifts and your life improving and saying, how did you do that? And you could say, I'll be glad to show you what I did, and just be the example of helping them to move on. Be a good friend. Be kind and caring. Let them know that you're there if they need you. Be that person that you want to have in your life. You are for them. Instead of looking for them to fix you, you are going to be the example to them of how this can happen. And as you are that wonderful example to others, your light will shine even brighter as you are ready then for the fifth dimension. And so I bid you adieu as you go through your journey, as you understand better. It's not about those around you. This is your inside job. You are all doing a very good job of cleaning out the old. It's kind of like a house cleaning out the old so that the new can come in. And as you proceed, you are to give yourself a very big applaud and to own your accomplishments. So many people will say, well, I have these difficulties. I want you to, instead of looking at your difficulties, tonight when you go to bed, I want you to count your blessings. Have you ever heard of that? And look at how well you have grown from where you were as a young child. Look how far you have grown from a past life that you might know about. Look how far you have grown and overcome obstacles that others are still having difficulty with, which is fine. You don't compare yourself, but you can say, gee, thank goodness I've been through that one, done that, been there. And now I'm moving on in my own path, and I'm just moving on along, and I'm doing a very good job no matter where I am. It's the right thing, the right timing, and I'm in the right place. So everything is right on time. You are doing a magnificent job in your lives. I think that you don't give yourself enough credit. And so we're going to help you with that in just a minute, as Archangel Ariel will come in a few minutes for you. And I hope that this has been a little better understanding of what your trip is about and help you to find some new answers that you might not have understood quite this way before, but hopefully has planted a seed of where you're trying to accomplish. And in the case of this group here, you're doing extremely well. So I want you to go home and give yourself a little gift tonight, whatever that gift is. But you deserve to know that you have done well. God is pleased with every one of you. You haven't given up on the path. Your perseverance is admirable. And just keep up the good work. I wish you a very happy afternoon and a very prosperous future. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Germaine.
Marvelous.
Good afternoon.
Good
afternoon,
afternoon.
I'm Archangel Ariel, and I just love to give blessings.
Thank you.
Ariel,
And
Ariel, I have a question.
Yes.
Would you check with Martha and make sure it's safe and okay for Marilyn to continue? It's been about an hour.
Oh, my goodness. We're going to give her just a little bit of time to let Ariel do this, so let me do this, and it should be okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's doing better these days, and she also asked for extra help for today, which we've given her, so I think she'll be fine.
Wonderful.
I want you all to understand that this is a little practice that you can do anytime that you choose. So we're going to take a big deep breath in and blow out your air. And did you feel the difference of the air coming in and the air blowing out? Try it again. We're trying to blow in the cold air and blow out warmer air because you are warming up inside. You are thawing out, remember? So I want you to take another big deep breath and blow it out. And I want you to visualize in front of you an ancient chapel that we are going to walk up the stairs. And it's in a lovely setting in the mountains with the trees. And the mountains are beautiful today with clouds in the sky. And the birds in the sky are fluttering around, and the flowers, the wildflowers, are very fragrant. And the fresh air is very sweet from all the trees, converting them into fresh air. The fresh air is very invigorating. And as you walk into this chapel, find a very comfortable chair. And as you're sitting in your chair very comfortably, I want that spiritual self of you to move out of your body. And I want you to see your higher self or God's self in the chair across from you. And that God's self spirit is moving out to match and merge with your spirit. And I want you to look into the eyes of your higher power across from you. You're looking into the eyes of God. You're looking into the eyes of love. And I want you to feel totally unconditional love as you vision yourself looking into those eyes. You are totally, unconditionally loved. And we'll give you a few minutes to take in that loving source of who you are into your being. You are seeing yourself through the eyes of the fifth dimension, of what it's like to see your own love inside and that around you and filling you, so that you are in the spirit of unconditional, unselfish love. Feel it moving through your pores, the cells of your body, through your energy system, flowing from head to toe, filling your heart. And as your heart fills up, let it expand beyond your heart, into your lungs, into your organs, into all parts of all your body. And then let that unconditional spirit in you flow out through your skin to those around you. You are love, and you are spreading the love. How does that feel? Anytime you choose to return to this experience will advance your trip on the fourth dimension. And now we're going to bring our spirit back into our own physical body and say goodbye to our higher self. And as we walk down the steps of this lovely old ancient chapel, out into the nature, we look up into the sky, and the clouds are forming the number 3, and they merge into the number 2, and they merge into the number 1. And as you gradually open your eyes, you are transformed your life into your original experience. And you can claim this anytime you choose, knowing that you are God, and that this God within you is just a channel to others. As you send it out to them, you're just the conduit of God's love going out to others. Your love is being sent around wherever necessary and needed. Congratulations on being on this journey. Many blessings as you join your trip from fourth dimension into fifth dimension, becoming your reality. I send you many blessings day and night. Anytime you want to connect with Ariel, I'm here for you. I love you very much, and I want to be your friend. So please feel free to call on me when you feel down, feel you need a little encouragement. I'll send you more blessings. And when you count your blessings, you will feel better. I bid you farewell and a happy day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a
Thank you.
beautiful experience.
God bless you.
Well, everybody, I hope that this was a good day for you.
Yes,
Yeah, it was
Martha,
Thank you.
amazing.
Alrighty, well, I'm glad that everybody's happy and you can go home in your happy new higher vibrations that you found today. Keep working on that, knowing how loved you are, how far you've come, and that I love you too.
I love you, Martha.
I love you too, Martha.
So I want you to know that this has been a fun day. Toodaloo!
Toodaloo.